Live from Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, this is Lunchtime Politics, where we unpack stories and events from the political scene. I am Kelly Egiga. Here's what is coming up on our radar. Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria begin nationwide strike, paralyzing operations at key oil and gas regulatory institutions. Plus, on the program, trade fair traders in Lagos protest the demolition of over 19 buildings at the complex in Ojo by the Lagos State government. Lunchtime politics starts right now. We're looking at images of trade fair traders in Lagos who are protesting the demolition of over 19 buildings at the trade fair complex in Ojo by the state government. The demolition on September 25, 2025 sparked outrage among traders who claim they received no prior notice and that lawful approvals were disregarded. The protest led to chaos with security agents last week deploying tear gas, resulting in an elderly man we hear being hospitalized. The Lagos State government we hear demolished at least 19 structures at the new Mandela Plaza within the trade fair complex, displacing numerous traders and destroying millions of naira in goods. Now, from the traders' perspective, they insist they were not served a demolition notice and that their buildings, some of which had federal approval, were destroyed without proper procedure. However, the Lagos State government defended its actions, citing a 2003 Supreme Court judgment and the state's physical planning law. Officials from the state government said that the buildings were illegal, lacked proper state approval, and were built on road setbacks and drainage systems. Last week, the demolition, which was overseen by heavy security, involved personnel from the Lagos State Task Force and Rapid Response Squad. All right, so that's what is happening right now at the trade fair complex. We have a correspondent live there for us in just a moment, covering developments there. But let's get things started now as we tell you about a lot that is going on the national scene. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Dingyadi, has invited both the leadership of PENGASSAN and the management of Dangote refinery to an emergency meeting in his office today to reconcile their disputes. The minister, as of yesterday, appealed to PENGASSAN leaders to suspend their strike declaration and allow his ministry to mediate in a peaceful atmosphere. He also urged both parties to give peace a chance, assuring them that the federal government is committed to resolving the dispute amicably in the national interests. Meanwhile, in a circular issued after an emergency National Executive Council meeting on Saturday, PENGASSAN directed its members nationwide to withdraw their services, citing the alleged mass dismissal of some Nigerian workers by Dangote refinery. Looking at images of members of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association, PENGASSAN, who are in full compliance with the directives to embark on a nationwide strike over the feud with the management of Dangote refinery. PENGASSAN members are the NNPCL towers in the nation's capital, Abuja, blocked the gate into the premises, just as their colleagues at the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority also blocked the entrance into their premises. The action is in compliance with the directives from the National Executive Committee of PENGASSAN for a nationwide industrial action in protest of an alleged illegal sack of over 800 Nigerians by the management of Dangote refinery, an allegation the Dangote refinery management has also refuted. This is happening as we speak. It's a breaking story this hour as PENGASSAN members are, we hear, in full compliance with the nationwide directive to shut down the nation and facilities. All right. In the meantime, economist Professor Ken Ife has advised parties involved in the petroleum disputes to channel their grievances to the industrial court rather than gripping the entire country. Speaking on our breakfast program earlier today, The Morning Brief, Professor Ife stressed that the union lacks the authority to dictate whom a company can hire or fire.
Unions are children of the law, and you cannot live above the law. Where you protect the rights of your workers, your members, and then you fight for their rights. You go to court. If you have any issue of anything, go to the industrial court. That is your first port of call. My advice to the labor is don't join a fight you cannot win. Don't try to destroy a refinery that is systemic, that is strategic, that protects national interest. You can't do that.
That's Professor Ken Ife there speaking about this dispute and face. Let's get some perspective this afternoon as we cross over live to the Asaba area in Delta States, where a former deputy president of the Nigeria Labour Congress and industrial and labor relations experts, Comrade Amechi Asoguni, joins us live on the program. Comrade, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us in this very, very short notice. Perhaps we should begin from the reactions of Professor Ken Ife, who says that this is a war that the unions cannot win. This is a big threat.
Good afternoon. Yes, if I must respond to that, I see that response as not being objective. I can say he was emotional with that expression because the issue of industrial relation is governed by law. And if it's governed by law, there are procedures before proceeding to court. No employer, if every matter that concerns the union and the employer will resort to each party going to court, then grievance handling procedure is already neglected. So I tell you that what the union is doing today, to the best of my knowledge, they gave notice to Dangote, they gave room for dialogue, and I see the employer proceeding to terminate the workers in their hundreds. Is a big threat to democracy. It's a threat to the law. It's a threat to the right of workers for security. In fact, if nothing is done, I expected him to channel that strength by cautioning the employer himself, who outrightly, the right to fire is to the extent that the workers are no longer needed for the job. More or less, you have workers in excess compared to the work they should do. That is when the law permits redundancy. You cannot be sacking and employing for that same purpose. That is victimization, and it's unacceptable by law. So I believe PENGASSAN is in conformity with our core values in protecting the voiceless, and even when the employer tries to motivate workers to accept intimidation, either by inducement or whatever formula, it's also unacceptable. whatever they consider law in this case, also has an alternative in its response. So the reaction of the union, for me, is required. Don't forget, this is not about Dangote. This is about the sector. And the very beauty of this action is what we say, that injury to one is injury to all. There's no way the entire PENGASSAN across Nigeria will be playing a full game. What they are doing now is a response to secure their own job. If Dangote can do it, it means other oil companies can do it. And I tell you, other oil companies are watching the outcome of this matter. And the Ministry of Labor understands this very game. By the time you give a soft landing because of the personality involved, you have neglected the law. And everybody will show personality to have their way. That will not be good at all for industry. It doesn't matter who is in the sector today. Don't forget, we're going to give room for other players to come into this same place to make it more competitive in such that no matter what Dangote is doing, in 2-3 years to come, other competitors are coming in to crash this price. And they will do so with fair labor practice. We can't do that at the expense of Nigerian workers.
The question to ask is whether or not the decision by PENGASSAN to shut down the nation's facilities, is it justifiable? The fact that you're going to deprive Nigerians of kerosene, cooking gas, power, fuel. Already there's so much hardship. So people are asking, does PENGASSAN and the unions, do you really care about the larger picture of Nigerians here? Is this action justifiable? That's the question, comrade.
The action is justifiable, going by their claims. Going by the claims of PENGASSAN, the action is justifiable. And don't forget, there is no way an expression is demonstrated to secure the right of others, that other people will not have obstruction. The obstruction is temporal compared to the result that will be permanent. So Nigerians should also learn how to show cooperation. Our participation to make things work for other people is necessary. Sacrifice, we say, is what is required in governance. Even in other countries where you see people protest massively, they are doing so to secure the war going on now, the Gaza-Israel war. Other countries are protesting. They are not in Israel. They are not in Gaza. They are doing so for purposes of saving life. And there's no way you do procession of protest that you cannot cause obstruction. There will be traffic. There may be absence of sales of certain product. It does not mean a shutdown. There is nothing like shutdown. What they've done is withdrawal of service to the extent that they will get attention. And if they are giving attention, the area they attend to them, they shorter this action. And I think they deserve to be attended to. Rather than promoting a one-man show that will use his own discretion to now determine how workers are to belong to a trade union. How can Dangote by himself issue undertaking to Nigerian workers to first of all accept that you are coming into work but you will not belong to a trade union? Do you know the beauty of trade union? Do you know that every organization, including the employers, they are also organized? They have maker. So if employers can organize to determine a best way of securing their profit, who tells you that workers coming together to safeguard their welfare is now something to be negotiated? The action for me is permissible.
Comrade, so how do you respond to the fact that people argue that these are just plans to frustrate the investment of Dangote, who is trying to make life better for Nigerians? He has over and over again had to reduce the cost of pump price for Nigerians, and he's promising to do more. But then there are those who believe that these unions, from Nupeng to Dapman and now PENGASSAN, are all out there ensuring that, you know what, these investments do not get to see the light of day. But he owns his company. He has made investments upon it. In fact, people say that he has borrowed very large chunks of money to make these investments. So why are these associations and bodies doing all they can to frustrate instead of supporting our own?
In fact, if there's anybody that needs support, it should be Dangote. So nobody is fighting to discourage or sabotage the investment he has made. As a matter of fact, some of us are not happy that only Dangote is the operating license we have now for oil distribution or refining in Nigeria. the area will make it more competitive. Don't forget, when MTN came into Nigeria, it was so that to buy MTN line, we know if you are not a rich man, you cannot even secure a SIM card. But today, SIM cards are given for free because of competition. So I still believe that Dangote should not see it as though the sector is made for him. He has come to make profit. In as much he has initiated some incentive to promote and enable the market friendly. But that until that is done, but more importantly, is the government allowing other players to come in. Anybody can use those myopic view to discourage what the union is doing. Don't forget, action is taken in September. The operation of Dangote continue even after this year. So what they are doing is to set a good record, because whatever you allow from beginning constitute a precedent that will make reference to in the future. And tomorrow, he said that has been the culture. We cannot allow anti-labor practice to constitute a culture in a working environment, that Nigerians will be part of the progress of Dangote. As we hear the name Dangote, let us also hear the prosperity of the workers that are making him strive, because no man grows without others. So I believe he should have a very friendly working condition for the workers. Running away from better welfare for the workers suggests that he's going to be a terrible employer. And I believe whatever he's doing should also provide a coverage for his own workers if he truly loves them. He should cooperate with the union, negotiate a better terms that will serve as a document for subsequent employment. Sacking and employing is not the solution. The solution is a better condition of service that will be governed by an agreement reached by both parties. It has to be dual in that relationship.
I mean, it's interesting how you and some of your labor friends will always say that he has a history of this kind of acts. But so perhaps maybe you have issues with the timing of this particular move now, because for the company, the arguments from Dangote Refinery Group is that we are only having to reorganize our company. And so that's the word, the term that they have used. But the unions, PENGASSAN, NUPENG, and DAPMAN are alleging that they have rather sacked workers who joined the unions. I wonder perhaps where that confirmation is coming from, because I'm wondering how the unions got to know if these 800 were actually members who decided to unionize.
It's obvious. We know their behavior. Don't forget Dangote as a company, because each time we mention Dangote, we're not referring to a person. We're referring to the Dangote group. And I tell you, when the construction of the refinery was going on, he refused to unionize the workers. He employed more Indians than Nigerians. How can Nigerian government promote a situation whereby you have foreigners? Now we have fought to get oil refined in Nigeria. We now need to fight again on how to get Nigerians to work in the refinery. If after exporting our employment to other countries, now you are refining here and you are making more workers of the foreigners to be in Nigeria than the Nigerians, then where is the economic value of the investment? I think Dangote should see Nigeria more than any other factor in his business component. And I tell you, the 800 people he has dismissed are workers that refuse to sign the undertaking, workers he knows very well that prior to their coming to work with him, they've also worked in other oil companies. I don't think combining all the oil companies in this country, Dangote is not richer than them in this area. People are choosing their priority in investment, and he has chosen wisely to be the first to initiate this very refinery. He should lead by example by also creating a standard that respects the welfare of the workers. It must be a fair ground. Should be a fair ground and not a safe ground for him.
Yes. The argument is that for Dangote, there are efforts to make the fuel price of the pump price of fuel cheaper for Nigerians. And that's why for him there's that move to do away with some of the obstacles, the middlemen. And I see that there's some sort of pushback. That's the argument. There's some sort of pushback from these unions who are used to a particular way and style of doing things. So you don't think that perhaps the interests of Nigerians is crucial to the move by Dangote refinery to breach the middlemen and deal directly with the retailers?
You see, sometimes concept is not how you think. Law is not how you think. Law is how it should be. Dangote cannot dictate the method he wants. Crashing of a price economically can be achieved by method, by deploying the indices in the market. And I tell you, when people regard industrial union to be people who sabotage or distort progress, tell me any oil company in Nigeria that has one or be sent out of the sector as a result of trade union behavior. The answer is none. Business accommodates interests of stakeholders. Workers are stakeholders in this regard. If Dangote want to reduce price, government should grant some help. Government should subsidize in certain areas to enable him something at a point. If government is also shy in doing so, they should deploy more license to more operators, because whatever Dangote is doing, the cost of machine is constant. Who has reduced price for Dangote because he wants to maintain price? Then that's okay. Buying of Dangote trailer, the price has dropped. Why must it be the workers that will pay the price of how a price of our own product can be cheaper?
Let me take
care of these workers.
Let me take you up on some of the allegations and accusations from the Dangote refinery group, because I see that obviously you are leaning to the side of your former friends and colleagues.
I'm being fair.
So there's a heavy or weighty allegation that members of DABMAN divert locally produced products to neighboring countries. There's the allegation that DABMAN too was asking for some sort of subsidy from the Dangote refinery group. 3, for PENGASSAN, for instance, earlier this year, they had endorsed the fact that the Port Harcourt and Dangote and Kaduna refineries were working. And that's why many Nigerians are a bit skeptical if indeed these unions have their interests at heart, or perhaps their personal pockets, the likes of Nupeng, DABMAN, and now PENGASSAN. How do you respond to these allegations?
Yeah, any allegation that has to do with corruption should be addressed using the instrument of the law of this country. Nobody can support any trade union to abandon its own legitimate duty and then begin self-business. We cannot. Neither can you say because Dangote is not cooperating to some hidden deals and therefore it must be your way. No. Once you exceed the boundary in the eyes of the law, you are out of the game. What we are saying here is let there be a minimum in terms of agreement between Dangote and the workers, so that when a worker gains an employment, don't forget, one thing is to enter an employment, another thing is to exit an employment. The only way to govern that very agreement is to make it lawful. And if you have an agreement where trade union is the supervisor on the side of the workers, it means that the interest of the workers are protected. Dangote wants a situation whereby he will be the deciding personality to say, this is how much I want to pay, this is when I want to remove you, this is when I want to replace you. It doesn't work in that order. Because when the people they are trying, somebody said the law permits you to hire and fire. There is a limit to it. Every law is made to an extent. To an extent means in the case of employment is for a purpose. Do you know the law that says you can, if you are a driver in this same organization and none of the drivers should earn less than each other, because equal work, equal pay for equal work done is a law. And therefore, if somebody like Dangote can practice disparity of wage in these circumstances, because there is no fair template to govern the operation and behavior of his operation, of the workers. What we are saying here is, let the law take its course. Dangote should reject any offer, any proposal that is pushing an alternative to this instrument we want him to put in place. If PENGASSAN is found wanting in the area of self-interest, he should expose that. He should expose that to the public. But what the union has put forward is the one they have lawful umbrella, which they have said, let there be protection for the workforce. Social protection is required anywhere in the world. And I believe Nigeria has
totally agree with you.
The ILO convention in that regard.
Compelling arguments, and I totally agree with you in terms of, this issue of dignity and, of course, social welfare indeed for workers. So there's also the school of thought that the Dangote refinery is somewhere around the free trade zone. And what that means is that if he gets so frustrated by people like your friends in PENGASSAN, Dapman and Nupeng, he could take his product outside of Nigeria. Already, there are reports that he already have buyers from the international market. I wonder if this is not a concern to you at this time.
You see, somebody like Dangote, one good thing about him is that he has this consistent mindset for investment. But the worst and bad thing about Dangote
Which is a good thing, actually.
A capitalist that believes in profit alone can never consider the interests of other people as a priority. So if making Nigerians to earn fair wage will make him relocate his facility outside of the country, the cost of deployment is enough to address the challenge we're referring to. So I don't see him taking that step because that will also sabotage his good name in the country. If he has come to solve a problem, employment means welfare. Employment means taking care of one to take care of his family. So you cannot do that by
we have
dictating
to wind down. We have to wind down. Yes, we have to wind down.
Let us also know that laws are made for behavior like this.
We have to wind down on our conversation now. We're supposed to have a senior advocate of Nigeria who was supposed to be here as well to explore these areas of legal issues, labor laws.
Preferred so that let me know his opinion. Yes, because this is a matter of law.
Unfortunately,
there's no way Dangote will not make it.
He's unable to join us, and we have to round off now. There is a meeting we hear being brokered by the Minister of Labour and Employment. I wonder if you think any sort of dialogue or consensus will be met at that particular meeting, especially when you look at how things have unfolded with Nupeng, with Dapman. Remember, there was a conciliation meeting where an agreement was reached for members or workers from the Dangote refinery to be part of the unions, despite the agreements and the conciliatory meeting, which of course we thought they had reached an agreement. These issues have had to again come up, this dispute and face off. So I wonder just how optimistic you are about this particular meeting being brokered by the Minister of Labour and Employment. Plus, the DSS has also been very involved with meetings such as this. They say, look, it's national security. I wonder what your friends have been telling you about some of these meetings brokered by the DSS as well. Are they very comfortable that the DSS is involved?
DSS, the police, security will do their job and they will come in when the need arises. And I don't see any security breach in the trade union matter. This is completely industrial relation matters and has nothing to do with the issue of DSS involvement. They can always caution, they can always ask members to play their card, not to infringe on other people's rights. But when it talks about individuals withdrawing their service in order to seek attention, strike is lawful, and the Supreme Court judgment is still standing on that. And the issue of the peace being brokered by the Minister of Labour, that is expected of that office. As a matter of fact, is the reason for the existence of the office. And I believe that parties should not be resistant. Every party should come there with an open mind, believing that give and take. There must be a compromise to achieve value.
We have to go now.
We give the lasting result for the entire workers. And even Dangote itself to prosper.
Yes. We have to go now. So all eyes are on today's emergency meeting convened by the Minister of Labour and Employment in the nation's capital. We hope that this can be some sort of dialogue between both warring parties and perhaps the willingness by both parties to compromise. Well, most thank you indeed for speaking to us at this time. Comrade Festus Amechi Asugonu, former
Festus
deputy...
Asugonu, you're right.
Oh, I'm right. Okay, Comrade Festus Asugonu, former deputy president of NLC and Industrial and Labor Relations expert. Thank you indeed, as always, for your time on the program.
Thank you. We expect a fair outcome.
Absolutely. Well, that does it for us here on the show. Thank you indeed for watching. On behalf of the production team and everyone here, I am Kelly Egiga, and you have been served on Lunchtime Politics. Good afternoon.